Hello and welcome to TEAM. So my name is Elmar. I'm responsible for technical support and training, and I'm hoping you right now that you will have some interesting insights. Our main share is finally the idea of human-centered building automation. So what it is, we talk about energy labels and the prerequisites currently, and finally, like usual in the TEAM documentaries, we do have some insights in the ETS. So first of all, what is from our aspects human-centered building automation? Human-centered solutions means finally a solution which is covering, let's say, the main content of CO2 gas emission reductions. Human-centered architecture is a part of it, which means, the exterior designing, the material which are used, the energy which is used finally to build up a new, let's say, building, and finally the sustainability. This is one part of human-centered building automation. The other part is finally human-centered lighting. What does it mean? It means finally the right light at the right moment and human orientated. And finally, to bring all this into harmony, we need a human-centered building automation, which is, from our perspective, KNX. So probably you know the different energy labels which are present all around the world. One of these, for instance, is LEED, Green Building Index, UK Gov, BREEAM, and Minergie in Switzerland as an example. And so one of these, let's say, approaches finally is that the light control has to be done in the right manner. So that means the constant light control is described in these energy labels. Why constant light control? Because constant light control is the most efficient control of lights which you can have. This is as well highlighted in the European norm 15232, and this describes definitively that there is a big advantage in comparison to working against a threshold, so I/O control of presence sensors, or if you do it reasonably in constant light control. And we did these researches many years, so approximately 8 to 10 years in the meantime, and you see the different room which is equipped with the same amount of light. This one is switched I/O control, and this one at the same room at the same conditions with constant light control. And this finally the reason why this, let's say, light control has such kind of high, let's say, degree in these energy labels, regardless which energy label it is finally. HCL, human-centered lighting, what does it mean? You see this nice picture on top, and this means finally, so we do have different light colors, light temperature colors at the early morning, so starting with a warm, let's say, red partition of the light, noontime, cold light, and to the end of the day when the sun sets finally it turns again to the red partition of the light. And this has a deep impact on the well-being of people, because this light controls or affects finally blood pressure, the stimulation of the vegetative nerve system as well. And so this means finally it cares about the well-being of the people. Depends on which incidence angle which we do have on our human eye. So you know, noontime, early morning, or sunset. So it has a different, let's say, effect on the inner eye, on the retina, finally, and stimulates the production of the melatonin, and the melatonin has a deep impact on our well-being, on our stimulation, blood pressure, and vegetative nerve system. And if you do have a really good solution, finally, You do constant light control, balancing the reasonable light, and as well, parallel to it, you control the right light color. Specifically, it is prepared or is designed for areas where we don't have natural daylight impact into the rooms where we are working, where we are living. So how we can achieve this if we don't have natural daylight? We need LEDs which are able or capable to support us in these regards. So that means we need LED stripes which are supporting tunable white, TW. And we need the reasonable, let's say, ballast, Dali ballast, to be able to control such. How we can do? For instance, with a reasonable Dali gateway. So our Dali gateway supports, regardless, secure, sure, supports the constant light control, and finally supports tunable white. How we can achieve, how we can manage this? For that purpose, I turn for a short moment to the ETS. If you have detected the reasonable Dali ballast, this one is a tunable white ballast, so you just put it in here, and you put another one here as an example, and another one here, so just as a short idea. So, and here you click on that, right hand side mouse, open color dialog, and you set here to 3500 Kelvin. This one here is finally 4000 and further, you know. So that means here you can create your own light curve, light color, light temperature curve. Yeah. Here you start from the ability of your LED stripe, could be 2500 K, could be 3000 K, and then upwards up to 6500, however, and then you turn reverse, so that means from then you count downwards, so back to 3000 K. Here you can adjust so the intensity of the light which you desire, and finally here you can adjust the reasonable fading time which you want to do, which you want to have as an example. Yeah, you see you can have here fading times, on fading, off fading, and so on. And this is how you can operate. Then you have to start this effect finally by effect number, and that's it. This could be a timer which starts early morning, however, this change of the light color, and then you see how easy it is to have constant light control, which is rather simple to customize. You need 4 object, I/O, brighter, darker value, and feedback value. I think you know. Same you can use here as well if you have configured it in the right way. So you do have here the same communication objects, plus you start this in the background, and then automatically you have this, yeah, let's say fantastic HCL control, plus the energy efficient constant light control in your building. And this is, you know, mandatory in the meantime, regardless which energy label you are following. Energy efficiency. So what if the wind wheel stands still? So that means then you have to manage, you have to control the reasonable energy. And for that purpose, you find in this energy label, specifically in LEED and GBI, you find hints and you find notes which are telling you that you need so-called smart meter gateways and intelligent meters to manage, to control the energy if required. And we do have here the reasonable solution with our connector, absolutely fulfilling the reasonable energy label requirements. Okay? So let's have a look on the, let's say, shading control. I take in this case here again the EN15232 as a base. This is finally telling you that you should have in modern buildings, energy efficient buildings, a reasonable shading control, which in this case is sun tracking based. What does it mean? We do have here elevation, so that means the sunrise. We do have here the azimuth, the move of the sun during the day. And if you do have a smart weather station, like we do have here with our meteor data, so we can calculate automatically, so when the sun rises, when the sun sets, and what is the optimum of the positioning of the reasonable slats here of our shading. The intelligence finally comes later. Here you see how easy it is. You have to configure finally the positioning of the building to the reasonable, let's say, sun direction. And you have to do the reasonable, let's say, setup here in the configuration. And that's it. The weather station, which needs finally date and the current time, and calculates every day the ideal position regardless of the conditions. So what it is, next step in regards of the temperature. In regards of the temperature, so we do it in a reasonable smart manner. Yeah. So that means we do have here, for instance, a nice room, so our office, open plan office. We do have here currently no presence. The current temperature inside of the building finally is above the desired room temperature. So that means we do have a nice summer day, and the room, or this conference room was heated up in a certain instant. So nobody's present. The threshold is not achieved, but the blinds immediately drive down when you open the sun protection. So when you activate the sun protection. So that means you get automatically intelligent, let's say, added value. What means finally the shading are driving down and give you additional support that the room, the temperature in the room is not heating up too much. When you enter the room finally, so then the sleds are positioned to their, let's say, calculated position from the weather station as an example. If the room temperature is too low, so that means winter time, but we do have a nice winter day with a lot of, let's say, sun, and the infrared light of the sun supports us to heat up the room. So that means when we do have the threshold, which is above the desired value, so then the shades are remaining in the upper position, supports us heating up the room in the inside, in the interior. And when you come for a meeting, when you enter the room, probably the lesson starts in a school room, so then the blinds drive down and give you the ideal, the optimum of the positioning of the sleds finally. This automatism is finally, sounds complicated, but is rather simple. And I will share in a few minutes with you so the reasonable group addresses. That means that you see how to arrange finally. As well, not the shading, but the ventilation is highlighted in these, let's say, energy labels, telling you finally that the well-being of the people, a good air quality in the room has to be achieved. And if you achieve all these, let's say, recommendations or prerequisites finally, so then you earn a certain amount of credits, so-called. And in regards of the level of the credits which you have achieved with the technology and with the solution, starting from the designing, water treatment, and the exterior light, interior light, heating, climatization, and so on. So then you can achieve up to platinum, let's say, level. And this is then highest degree in the technology and the highest degree in the energy efficiency of modern buildings. So that means these buildings are absolutely future-proofed. Yeah, and you see here the ventilation is as well highlighted. So natural ventilation in spaces and so on has to be demand orientated. We do have here reasonable CO2 sensors. Here in this example, we do have here a standard one. So that means 24 volt based. We do have here as well KNX based solutions. And this supports us finally to achieve these solution, to achieve a good air quality in the room. Or you do have here the hybrid, which is a presence sensor supporting you with constant light control. And in the inside of this nice housing, we do have here as well a CO2 sensor. And why it is so important finally, the, let's say, natural air in our environment is approximately 400-500 ppms roughly. It depends on how strong you're working. It depends on the volume of your body, the lungs body, and finally the way what you're doing, and if you're strong working, hard working finally, so your exhale could be up to 40,000 ppm. So and that's the reason why we need this ventilation inside of a building. For that purpose we use FCA control in our example, so caring about, let's say, a good ventilation. But this is just one of these solutions, because you discover here we do have here heating, we do have here cooling, we do have here ventilation. Yeah. In this case we do have here the 0 to 10 volt FCA controller to control these dampers here. Yeah, and now if you mix all these together, so we can achieve that finally this shading control, this ventilation control, this climatization control, and this light control finally merges together. We combine it in a, let's say, clever way, in a smarter way, and we can achieve finally a good, reasonable qualitative control inside of a building. You see here some rough ideas. The communication objects which we are using here, it's not that much. What you need a dolly gateway, which you need basically to illuminate a room. You need a shutters blinds actuator, which you need in general to do the reasonable shading. You do need, probably as an alternative to the dolly, universal dimmer. Yeah. You need this FCA control, and finally a weather station to control all these lights. So there is no additional function, no additional product which you need, but you need just to combine this in an intelligent way, however. So let's have a look inside to the control, to the application. You see here the local current time, you need the date, you need finally the presence for the reasonable shading, you need presence for the RTR, for the room temperature control, right? Then we need the light control for the constant light control, then the dimming value and the status or the feedback. We need to control, or I/O, to switch on and off, the sun shading, the sun protection finally. We need blinds up, blinds down, height and lamella in this case. And for the HVAC control, we need reasonable room temperature, share it with, in this case, with the, you see here, and that's the thing which we have to consider. We share it with our shading actuators, with our blinds actuators. They need to know how the temperature is, with a purpose to remain open or to remain closed, independence of the room temperature, which is currently existing. Then we need finally the heating value. We need the heating value I/O, and you see here we take the status from the FCA control and control finally the up or the down of the blinds. We need finally the value, the control value for the cooling as well, and cooling support we give finally again here with the status from the fan coil actuator to the shutters and blinds actuator, that he is doing the things in the right manner accordingly. What we need as well, we need finally just to orientate the CO2 value, just a monitor if you like. We need a forced mode to bring the FCA control into the run, and to run finally, to do it in several stages, depends on the CO2 volume or the temperature, or to support the heating control. However, we need this as a value shared from the fan coil to the moon, to the CO2 sensor. However, so all in all, this merges in a brilliant way together without any additional products which you need to combine. A smart and a clever solution supporting energy efficiency. Hopefully you could get some good ideas. See you next time.